Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining this session. Anurag, if someone wants to register themselves right now, so they would be able to join this session right now?
Yeah, they are able to join it. They just require to register it, and then they will receive that email immediately on mail ID.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, and participants are allowed to talk or they are not allowed?
They are allowed to talk, but I request everyone that to respect the time also, because we have the fixed agenda. So we'll keep the posting these queries on that chat windows, and we'll answer it also. And whatever the question is possible, we'll take it in this session also.
Okay, perfect. So everyone, if you have any question, you can post your question in the chat box. We would try to answer those questions in the session. If not, we can also send you those answers. We already have your email address and all the information, and we can get back to you after the session as well. So in today's session, we are going to cover the basically the agenda, the VMware vSphere product. And as maybe some of you know that vSphere recently introduced vSphere 8. So this is the latest version. So initially it is available right now. You can download this product and you can play with this one. But before starting about VMware vSphere, maybe some of you doesn't have the idea regarding what is VMware and what is vSphere. So basically, can you do you want me to share my screen, Anurag?
You can share it, Akash.
Okay, perfect. Are you guys able to see my screen? Everyone? Can someone just acknowledge?
Yes.
I think it's a previous screen, so hopefully it is your screen.
Yeah, it's the same screen. Yeah. So let me move forward and let me like, tell you that what are we going to discuss in this session. So in this session, we have two labs, more than two labs actually, but these are the four main topics which we are going to cover in today's section. Before talking about vSphere, let's first talk about virtualization technology, and then we can talk about vSphere. I don't know what's your background. Maybe some of you are already working in production environment. Maybe some of you are system administrator. Maybe some of you are network engineers. Maybe some of you are students, right? I don't know your background, but hopefully I will get to know during the session. Do you guys know about VMware? What is VMware? It's basically a company name, VMware. It's the company name, just like Microsoft, Cisco, Oracle, Red Hat, Dell, HP. So VMware is also the name of the company, and VMware focuses on virtualization technologies specifically. And we can also say that VMware is also now a security company as well because of the Carbon Black product and other security product. vSphere is the product name, right? And vSphere is a product which we used for data center virtualization. So if you do not know about data center, so let me make it simple for you. Data center means a server room, right? So if you want to virtualize, if you want to use this technology in your data center, you need to you have the idea of vSphere. So this is the product name, and this product include two main software, which is the one is called ESXi Hypervisor, and the other one is called vCenter Server. So these are the two main software components or product which we are going to discuss in today's session as well. And we can there is a proper training, 40 hours training. So in that training, you will get to know that what is ESXi and vCenter server, but we will try to cover those things in today's lecture as well. Then we will talk about overview of vSphere features. So what are the main features which can reduce the downtime, which can make your applications highly available, right? So we will also talk about those features in today's session. And then we have two labs which we discussed that we are going to cover the practical session, and even we will show you the real hardware, because we already have a hardwares available, and we will show you a real-time environment, and then you would be able to see that how uh, we can install this product and we can play with this product. Before moving to next slide, let me see what is in the chat. I'm already using vSphere 7.0. That's good. That's good. Good to know that. Okay. Let me open it. Actually, I'm a penned guy, actually. I'm not a slide guy, but I'm trying to. So let me move forward. Let's talk about the certification overview. The webinar which we are in, it's regarding this virtualization technology. So it's not possible that you will be expert after attending this webinar. So obviously you need to have a proper training, and you need to do a certification in this value, just like you do CCNA, MCSC, or AWS certification. So VMware also offers different certifications. So starting from the technical associate level, then you can become an expert as well in this one. So I think we need to, okay. Okay. I think it's best that I answer the question right away. So we have a question from Mr. Prasad that can we be able to do this on laptops too? So yes, Prasad, when we are doing the labs, I will guide you how you are going to prepare a home lab. In production environment, laptop is not a good practice, but for your own practice, yes, you can do that. I will answer you. Anurag, I think the chat box, the chat window, we are only able to see that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, got you. So during the session,
All those things is recorded also, like in a text file, we receive it after that. Then everyone email ID and things are available with us. Then we'll answer those things also in details to send.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Yep. Kindly post your question in the chat box, and we will see if we are able to answer those questions in the session or after the session. So this is the certification of this training. So if you want to start your career in virtualization technology, this is your first step. Obviously, the first certification is this one, but the VMware certified professional certification is your first step. Here you will learn about this. And let me also open the VMware certification site, so you have the idea. You can also visit VMware certification site. Once you visit, you can see we have different tracks available. Just like in Cisco, you have security, collaboration, and those things. So we are talking about data center virtualization. So you guys can also click on that. And after that, you can also check for the course outline as well. So these are the course outline which you can see. I will share the link with you guys, and you can also check that which things you can learn from these. So what topics are covered in this whole session. So you can see it's a 10 modules training actually, right? These are the course outline of this one. This slide explains if you do not know, if anyone here, they don't have an idea regarding data centers. So data center is basically a centralized repository, either physical or virtual. So data center mean in simple word, it's your server room. You know, every organization, business relies on their applications. I think you're already familiar with that. If we look into the hospitals, if we look into universities, bank sectors, right? So definitely their businesses are dependent on their applications. Let me move forward a little bit. Okay, yep, I do have this slide available. I was waiting for this slide.
Yeah, just a second, Kasif. If that your screen is not visible, somebody is complaining that you require to rejoin it because everyone able to see that screen. So you just drop and rejoin the session again. You will able to see that.
Okay, Anurag, can you copy those questions in the notepad or the wordpad if possible for you?
It's already recorded. Kasif will get it that text file.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is the overview of the traditional data center. Traditional data center means without virtualization. As you can see here, maybe you have an organization, they have 4 applications, right? They have database. Let me open the
suivi de la matière première, c'est le produit fini. عندك من تدفع البرودكسيون ولا حاجه انا معك حنا اون برودوي با هنا ديالنا
Can you
دابا
mute them?
هو مادام ما جديد
I think someone mic is open. Okay, no problem. So maybe you guys have idea about Active Directory, domain services. You must know about SQL Server. You must know about email server, for example, file server. So let's suppose you are in the organization and they have these applications, right? And you are responsible to install those applications, right? So definitely for each application, you need operating system. And also you need a hardware. So you will go to market and you will purchase a hardware. So that hardware will be like a server hardware, and it will have, for example, minimum 128 GB RAM, right? Maybe it has 64 cores of CPU. Maybe it has 2 TB of disk, right? So this is the hardware specification. Then you will install operating system. So if you are familiar with server operating system, Windows Server, so the operating system will be installed here, and after that, you will install Active Directory domain services here. Then the same story is for SQL Server. So let's suppose this is your SQL Server machine. This is your email server machine, and this one is your file server. So this is your data center. So that's fine. It's perfectly working and you are okay with that, and your end users are accessing the application fine because you have the proper network configuration available in all these stuff. But there is some disadvantages and limitations in such scenarios. What are those limitations? The first limitation, let me tell you. If something happens to this hardware, definitely this operating system will stop working. So if your operating system stopped working, obviously your application is not working. You can recover it, but it will take time. Maybe it takes 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depends on your environment or failure. Another thing, have you noticed that when we have a hardware of 128 GB RAM, right? So what do you think? What would be the average utilization of your machine? Can someone unmute and tell me that, for example, you have a 16 GB RAM of laptop. So what will be the normal utilization, the average utilization of your RAM?
Maybe
50.
4 GB or 50% of it.
Exactly. Yep, you got it. So as I missed to add my introductive slide. Anurag told me, but I was out for a walk, and when I came back, I got late. So basically, if you don't know me, my name is Kashif, and I'm basically a VMware vExpert 2021 and 2022. And also I'm a VMware Master Specialist in Digital Workspace 1. And I have done 3 VCP certification as well. And I'm also doing my PhD, and I'm working as a Insight Solution Architect in one of the IT company. And I'm specifically, I cover all the VMware projects for my company. So during my research, I was reading a research paper, and where I saw that normally 15% to 25% resources are utilized. This is the average utilization of data center. The remaining resources, we can say it's not properly utilizing, right? So only 15 to 25% utilization of the, if you have a server hardware and you have, let's say you have 4 server hardware, so you are not properly utilizing your resources, right? But you cannot take risk that, for example, someone told me that if they have a 16 GB laptop and only 4 GB is utilized, so you cannot remove the remaining RAM from your laptop. The reason is sometimes you required 12 GB RAM because you have some applications. So sometimes you run those applications. Let's suppose you are a game lover. So sometimes you play games on your laptop. So obviously you need more resources during the game time. So same is the case here. So let's say this is your university data center. So during admission time or during exam time, your server utilizations are very high. So for that time, you required such type of resources. Anyone has an idea regarding server hardware, or do you anyone here who has purchased server hardwares for their company? Do we have anyone?
Yeah, I have.
Yep, please share your experience. So when you are purchasing new
Uh,
server hardware, what are your main concern?
RAM and storage
Mm-hmm.
and the CPU. It's a gold or silver or platinum.
Okay, got it. And you look into your peak hours, right?
Yes,
So
4
let's
hours
say,
SLA and HP
okay,
DL380 ramp gen.
makes sense, makes sense. So this is the overview of the physical data center, if you have an idea. So now we are moving towards the virtualization world. That what is the benefit of virtualization technology? So let me see the chat box. Okay. I think Anurag is taking care of the chat, the question. So I'm okay with that, and I will move forward. Introduction to virtualization. So basically, what we are trying to show you in this webinar, we are trying to introduce this virtualization technology with you guys. That instead of operating system installation on your hardware, you can install something called hypervisor. It's a special type of operating system, you can say. You can install that hypervisor on your hardware directly on the bare metal, and then you can create virtual machines, and then you can install operating system and application on those virtual machines. So this way you can share the resources of your physical hardware. Even you can move these virtual machines from one hardware to another one. Even you can move those virtual machine in a powered on state. We call it in Microsoft Hyper-V, we call it live migration. Here we call it vMotion. We will also talk about vMotion, and even we do have a lab on that. So we will show you practically that how you can move a powered on VM from one host to another one. So this is the story. Look into this slide. We still have the same hardwares, But how many applications are running? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the beauty of virtualization technology. And another beauty of this technology is if something happens to this hardware, you can still run those VMs on the other hardware as well. There will be no issue, right? You can easily move virtual machines from one hardware to another hardware. And also if you want to upgrade your server hardware, so that's also not a big problem. You can purchase new hardware, you can install hypervisor, you can move your virtual machine to the new hardware, and you can decommission the old one. So it's also easy for you. But if you do not have a virtualization scenario, and I know some of you are already working in the production environment, and you can understand what I'm telling, that what are the challenges and difficulties you face when your hardware is end of support. Have you experienced such situations? Anyone? That your server hardwares are end of life? Anyone here?
Yes, Shashi, yes. But still the companies and customers are using that software. They are not going to upgrade that system.
You are right, actually.
Ye-
Actually, I'm working with different customers from USA, and they are still using 6.7, and some are using, so
Yes.
most of them are using 6.7. And I have seen customers which they are using 5.5. So you are right. It depends on their budget and requirements and their team and their IT infrastructure.
Yes, but as per the budget, the VMware software like this virtualization and the actual hardware, what is the difference? Because they will also require the storage, and
Mhm,
virtual machines also require the RAM, uh, other hardwares like uh, RAM, CPUs, and other
mhm.
things. So
Okay.
they will also means costly, or and physical hardware also. What is the difference between this?
Okay. That's a good question. Basically, in this scenario, you are only able to run 4 operating system on 4 hardwares, right? So if you have like 8 applications, so obviously you need to have 8 hardwares. So that's also if we compare the cost, so that is expensive, the physical scenario. You need to purchase 8 different physical hardwares. Then you also need to give them a power. Then you also need to give them a power backup, right? And obviously those server will generate heat. So obviously you need a cooling system to make them cool, to keep them cool. But with virtualization, what you can do, you can virtualize your hardware and you can run virtual machines. So with virtual machines, you can reduce the number of hardwares. For example, previously, before virtualization, uh, you need to have 10 hardwares for 10 applications. But with virtualization, you can reduce the number of your physical hardware. You can reduce it to, for example, 5 hardwares, and you can virtualize them and you can run your virtual machines. And that's one of the benefit of virtualization technology. Another benefit is you can reduce the downtime. For example, you have a physical hardware, and if something happens to this hardware, obviously your operating system will stop working. And during the recovery time, so let's say the recovery time is 2 hours or 3 hours, so your business is stopped. So this is also a very big loss for your company. So with virtualization, what you can do, you can properly configure some of the features. You can create a cluster of these 4 hardwares, and you can enable high availability feature. You can enable FT feature, right? So if something happens to this hardware, within seconds, these VMs will be available here. So you will not see any downtime. So this is also one of the benefit of that. So this is also one of the uh, the advantage of virtualization technologies. You can optimize the resource. So as I told you that when I was reading a research paper, they mentioned that 15 to 25% is the normal utilization. But after virtualization, you can you can make it to 65 to 85% utilization of your resources. So you can utilize them properly. And I was reading also that currently, without virtualization, all the data centers all over the world, they are almost using 4% of the electricity of the whole world. So when people start using virtualization technology, and when we virtualize all the data center, then we can reduce that 4% to 2%. So this is also a big achievement. So you can reduce your cost, you can save your energy, right?
Right.
So I hope it
So
answers your questions.
still have confusion about this one.
Mhm.
This is virtualization is also something hardware or something machines are there. That's also need a data center or like
Okay.
that.
Okay, let me explain it another way. That's a good discussion actually. So sometime we are looking into that thing that, hey, even if you are using VMware, it's not free. You need to purchase licenses. Licenses are also expensive, right? So if you compare the cost and you start comparing that, then you will see, hey, forget about virtualization. I'm okay with my physical scenario. But
How much cost?
it depends. It depends. The licensing story is different. We are not going to discuss in this portion. So let me answer him first. So the only thing, okay, the main thing, the main benefit of that is you can reduce downtime. So you know downtime, what is the cost of downtime? If you are working in production environment.
Yes, yes.
So this technology can reduce the downtime. Even FT, when you configure FT, you can say it's a zero downtime. So if you need a environment which has a zero downtime, so this is virtualization is your solution for that. This is the main concern. So I think stop comparing the cost and just look into this only a single point. Then you will get the idea that this is the main benefits of virtualization technology. Because some companies, they even cannot accept a 5 minutes downtime because they have competitors, right? So
Yes.
they can go move. I mean, they can grow their business as compared to this one. So if you are in the hospital and you have a patient waiting for you and you are not able to properly give them a services, so obviously there will be circumstances. Okay, downtime. What is the downtime? So basically, if you have a laptop and your laptop stopped working and you are not able to open that laptop and you are not able to send an email or attend the meeting, so that time is called downtime. Mr. Alauddin. Hypervisor. In the previous slide, we discussed that we are going to use hypervisor. So let's talk about hypervisor. That what is hypervisor? So basically, it's a hypervisor is, you can say it's we do have a slide here, but let me explain it here. We have two types of hypervisor actually. One is called type 1 and the other one is called type 2, right? So type 1, you can call it, you can use it as operating system, and this one is, we can use it an application. So operating system means that you will install this hypervisor directly on your hardware. For example, you have your server hardware, and on top of that hardware, you will directly install hypervisor just like you install Windows 10, Windows Server, Linux operating system. So hypervisor is also an operating system, and it's also an application as well. So you can use two types of hypervisor actually. So this is a specific type of software or application which give you a virtualization facility, which virtualize your hardware. And then on top of the hypervisor, you can create virtual machines, and you can install operating system, and you can run your applications on the virtual machines, just like you run them on your physical machine, right? So we have two types of hypervisor. Type 1 hypervisor, we have write the example of these. VMware is a company name, ES6i is the product. Microsoft is a company name, Hyper-V is a product, Citrix is a company name, Zen Server is a product, Oracle is a company name, and VM Server is the hypervisor. So these are the hypervisors. So in today's session, we are covering this one, VMware ES6i. We are going to show you how you can install ES6i on top of the physical hardware. We have a server available already, and then we will do that. And we have another type of hypervisor also available, that is called VMware Workstation, VMware Player, VirtualBox, KVM, QEMU. So these are the type of the type 2 hypervisor, example of type 2 hypervisor. Let me just show you my lab. This is one of my lab. And the lab portion we will cover also. Anurag is here with me. So he is basically handling all the labs portion today. So you can see here, I have a hardware. On top of that hardware, I have installed ES6i hypervisor. And for example, you have this Windows 10 machine, you can install VMware Workstation. So this is a type 2 hypervisor. So type 1 hypervisor directly install on the hardware, and type 2 hypervisor, first you need to have operating system on your hardware, and then you can install type 2 hypervisor in application. So we have a question for you. That is the question. Based on the previous slide, we just want to check that how much you are active to the session. So which of the following are type 1 hypervisor?
B. VMware EXI.
Yep. So I think you can select multiple as well.
Citrix, VMware, Microsoft Hyper-V, and Oracle VM servers.
VMware ESXi, these are type 1 hypervisor.
Yeah. So can you just write A, B, C, D in the chat box?
So that's BCD.
Okay. So which one? I think B number. This one.
Yes.
C.
C,
Then server.
E, E,
And E, sorry.
E,
H.
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 Right.
Perfect. Perfect. So these are the type 1 hypervisor. Okay. Let me check the chat box. I hope, Anurag, are we good with the chat?
Yeah, Kash.
Perfect. So I will just keep reading the chat. So before moving to next slide, anyone has any idea, any question? You have an opportunity. I'm giving you an opportunity to unmute yourself and talk for a while. I know it's not allowed from my team, but still I'm giving you the 2 minutes opportunity.
What is the question?
My question is, if you have any question, please ask me so I can answer you directly.
I have already posted in chat box. Should
Okay.
I ask?
Yes, you can.
So my question is, as compared to the traditional data center, if we move to virtualization technology,
Mhm.
So definitely we have to scale up our hardware and resources like CPU, RAM. So would how would it be cost efficient as compared to the traditional data center?
Okay. So basically, if you are planning to move to virtualization, there are in the initial stage, you will find it expensive. Like obviously, for example, if your server hardware doesn't support.
Yeah, in the sense of like we are running multiple virtual machines on the same hardware as compared to the single hardware and single operating system. So we have to scale up our hardware resources, right?
Exactly, definitely. The minimum recommendation is 3 hardwares. I think let me mute you so I can answer you better. So your question is regarding the hardware. Obviously, you need, if you have a big environment, then obviously you need more hardwares. We have multiple solutions available. Like nowadays, we have VMware Cloud and AWS solution also available. For example, just for 1 month, you need to run more virtual machine as compared to your normal use. So in that case, you can avoid purchasing hardware, right? And you can go for Azure virtual.
Yeah, it's subscription basis, right?
Exactly. So
Yeah.
you can go for Azure VMware solution, AVS, or you can go to VMware Cloud and AWS solution as well. Depends on your scenario. And do you have any idea regarding public cloud, private cloud?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are planning to prepare your own private cloud, so then obviously initially you have to invest, you have to purchase hardwares. There are different solutions available, and there are we have not added those slides here, but you can also check for this one, hyper converged infrastructure. This is also a solution where you can purchase a single box. That box will include 4 ESXi host node, 4 compute node. You can install ESXi 4 times. Actually, there will be 4 different compute node and there will be storage available. So HCI is a combination of your storage and your compute. So again, you asked me regarding the cost comparison. So it totally depends on your workload, right? So this solution, okay, this VMware product is designed for small level organization. It can also be used in a medium level organization. It can also be used in a enterprise level organization. So if you ask me how you are going to compare the pricing between different environment, different size of organization, it depends on the features you required and it depends on the licensing you require.
Yeah, okay, got it.
So we talked about ESXi, so let's talk about a little bit history of ESXi. That formerly the first name of ESXi was ES6, and then they have changed that name, right? After ESXi version 4.1 release in 2010, we may rename ES6 to ESXi, and they also changed the architecture of that. In the past, basically, there will be a Linux operating system running, and on top of that, the hypervisor were running. So there were a dependency on the Linux operating system. So this is a different story. We will see if we can share the document, the history document with you in details, and you can search for that. But of now, the ES6i footprint is very small. It's a light product. You can even install it on the USB. It's not recommended now after vSphere 8, but before vSphere 8, ES6i 7.0, 6.7, or 5.5, people used to install the ES6i hypervisor on the memory card or on the USB stick. So that much, the footprint is that much small. It's a command line interface, and you can easily install it on 32 GB storage, and you can boot your hardware, and you can create your virtual machines. But obviously for virtual machine, you need to have a storage available. And if you want to use a vMotion feature or high availability feature, then in that case, you need to have a shared storage as well. So we will talk about in that as well. This is one of the slide which explain that VMware ES6i 1.5 2.0. This is just a story. You can also visit VMware site and you can see the story. VMware company is basically founded in 1998 actually. So, and you can say VMware is the founder of virtualization, pioneer of virtualization technology. Virtualization technology is very old. I mean, I think I was reading somewhere that IBM presented the idea of virtualization back in 1966, I believe. But VMware is the company which give the actual solution to the world of IT. So which is why whenever we talked about virtualization technology, VMware will be the first company. Now Hyper-V is also getting popular. Citrix, Zen Server, Nutanix, Oracle VM Server, these are all other competitor as well. But VMware is the pioneer, or it has more shares in the IT world as compared to other virtualization platform. I copied this slide from one of my friends' website, angrysysops.com. You can check that link, and you can also see that what's new in vSphere, what has been changed. Previously, in the lifecycle manager, it was 400 hosts, and now it has changed to 1,000 hosts. And previously, the VMs per cluster was 8,000, and now it is 10,000. These are some of the options. So you can visit these links, or you can also visit VMware site, and you will find that what's new in vSphere environment. This slide also explains that how many vCPU per VM. So nothing changed. 24 TB RAM. What does it mean actually? Let me explain it. For example, you have, it matters actually. These slides matter a lot. So let me explain it. For example, you have a server hardware, and that hardware has, let's suppose, I don't know what could be the maximum RAM in the server hardware. So forgive me if I put the wrong number here. Let's say we have 64 TB RAM, let's suppose. So I'm sorry if I'm over, but just to explain it to you guys. And you have an application. For example, SAP is one of the application, and you need to run this application for your big company. Your company has multiple sites in different countries, and to run that application properly, you need to have, let's suppose, 20 TB RAM available, right? So if you are using some other virtualization platform, not VMware ES6i, some other platform, then maybe they has a limitation, right? They have a limitation of based on memory. So here in vSphere 8, what is now possible, you can create a virtual machine, and you can assign up to 24 TB RAM, VRAM actually. So now it depends. First, you need to have a physical RAM available. If you do not have a physical RAM available, then you cannot assign this. The second thing is, you need to check if your operating system support 24 TB RAM or not. And then you can install SAP. So which is why I mentioned in the 5 minutes earlier that ESXi can be used in enterprise level organization as well. Do you know some operating system has a RAM limitation? Anyone has idea? I have a story. I tell this story to all my students whenever I talked about RAM. So I was in a WhatsApp group and someone posted that they were not talking about virtualization technology, but they were just talking about the hardware. So I received a message in the group and they mentioned that they have 64 GB RAM in their hardware and they have installed server operating system, Windows Server 2008 R2 standard, right? And their question was that we are only showing 32 GB RAM. So can someone answer me what could be the reason of that? 64 GB RAM was available in their hardware, but they were only showing 32 GB usable RAM.
2008's OS, it will support only 32 GB.
Yep, definitely. So even if you are working in the production environment and you want to create a virtual machine, so before assigning a resource to your virtual machine, right, you need to check that you need to confirm what is the maximum support, RAM support of that operating system. Then you should assign resources to that virtual machine. So this knowledge, such type of knowledge are required before creating the virtual machines. So this is just the overview. What has changed? VM direct path IO devices per host is now 32. VMs per cluster is now 10,000. And I think host managed by vSphere like cycle manager is 1,000. So these are some of the changes in vSphere. There are other changes also in vSphere, and we will talk about those features as well. Okay, now we are going to do a lab here. Because of the shortage of time, which is why I'm running very fast. So forgive me. Lab time. Anurag, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, Kasim.
Yep. So today the man of the event is Mr. Anurag. So he's going to share his screen and then I will take care of the.
So you will show the installation of vSphere.
Exactly. We will show you the installation of ESXi on the physical hardware, like the real hardware. So if you can
And
open the slide, Anurag, I want to show them something, then you can start the lab.
Okay, sir.
If
Are you
you
able
can,
to see that on my
yep,
screen?
yes. Can you move forward? Can you move forward? Yep, stop here. So as you can see, guys, our server hardware doesn't look like this. Maybe it's more beautiful because Anurag has better idea. So I hope he can post the picture of that as well. So this is, we have these two hardwares available. These are physical hardwares in our lab. Usually we use those server hardware for our students. So during our trainings proper, if you are enrolled, whenever you get enrolled to our trainings, we have a facility to provide you the lab if you do not have labs, and you can play with those labs based on some conditions. So host name, we have a server hardware having two sockets, two processors, physical socket, and each socket has 24 cores. So total we have 48 cores in the server one, and we have 320 GB RAM. So do not worry, if you want to practice this product on your laptop, you only need 8 GB of minimum RAM in your laptop. If you want to prepare a home lab for ESXi installation just. But if you also want to install vCenter server, then obviously you need more RAM. So the minimum requirement would be then 32 GB of RAM if you want to install vCenter server and you want to practice the ESXi installation as well. So then minimum RAM, I would say 32 GB would be required for just a learning purpose, not for the whole trainings purpose. So these are the two server hardware and these are the specifications of those hardware. So Anurag, yep, over to you.
Yeah. So let me stop with the slide. Okay. So I'm just going to install that this one EXXi 8. I'm going to install it. So it's going to install on that bare metal server, like is a physical server. We are going to install it, right? So for that, nothing is there on the server, right? So we required how we can install it, the OS. So we required, you know, that we have that ILOM to take that remotely access the server and we can install it, right? So same thing we are going to do it here. So in our lab, I think it's a demo.
Sorry to interrupt you, Anurag. You can access the lab and during the lab, I can explain some things with the students. Basically, do you guys have any idea regarding iDRAC or ILO?
Yes, sir. I did that on ILO. ILO 5 and ILO 4.
Yes. So, yep. So, for example, right now I'm sitting in Pakistan, and Anurag is in India. So, if he wants me to install ESXi on the hardware, can you mute yourself, please? Okay, thank you. So, ILO or iDRAC, these are basically through which you can remotely access your hardware. For example, you are in one city and your friend is in the other city and he wants you to install operating system on their hardware. So you do not need to visit them, right? You can ask them to give you the ILO or iDRAC access and remotely you can access the hardware, right? Okay, Anurag, I think you need to change the browser or
We can use it.
okay, makes sense. So we are going to access the physical hardware. This is the real hardware, right?
So right now it's in a power down state. So what I will going to do, I will just attach the media first, that EXXi 8 CD here.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just browse that CD. So it's there in the desktop somewhere in that some folder I created this one. So I require to select that right ISO. So this one is the right ISO.
Okay, let me stop you here. Basically, if you want to install ESXi hypervisor on the hardware, first you need to download the ESXi hypervisor. Anurag, if you can visit the VMware official site, that would be good.
So
Yep. Sorry, I'm talking between your session, but
let me go to VMware.
yep. Yep. VMware downloads. You can write VMware downloads, or you can simply write VMware ESXi ISO download, and it will redirect you to one of the websites. So the first step, you need to download the VMware ESXi hypervisor, right? It will redirect you to this link, right? So once you download the ISO, okay, downloading the ISO, you need to, okay, yep, you can download it from here.
Yeah.
So there are two types of ISO available. One is called VMware General ISO, which you can download from the VMware side. And the other ISO, which is a custom ISOs. For example, you have a Dell hardware, Dell PowerEdge or HP G10 or something like that. So you need to visit the Dell website. Anurag, can you open another tab and you can simply write VMware ESXi customize for Dell? customized ISO for Dell. Yep. Now you can see it will redirect you to Dell website. So if you have a Dell hardware and you need to install ES6i on your Dell hardware, you need to download ES6i ISO from Dell website, right? Why is that? So that each of your hardware components work properly. For example, you have a graphic card attached. For example, you have more than 2 network adapter attached. So obviously you need some sort of drivers. So with the VMware General ISO, you need to update or install the patches manually. So if you have a single hardware, that's fine. But if you have 20 hardwares and you are going to install ES6i on those hardwares and you are using the VMware General ISO, then it's going to be a difficulty for you guys, right? And also one more thing you need to keep in mind that you need to check the server hardware compatibility as well. So you need to, can you write VMware compatibility matrix, Anurag? VMware compatibility matrix. You can just, okay, compatibility matrix. Yep. So you can you can visit this site. So before ES6i installation, you should check your server hardware compatibility, whether it support the ES6i 8 or not. If the ES6i 8 is not supported, then you need to upgrade your hardwares, right?
So in
And
our case, we are using gold processor.
Yep. Yep, Anurag, you can take over and I will answer some of the questions.
Yeah, so this one is our first, this one
I
item.
have a quick question, if I can ask.
Yep. Go ahead, please.
So right now, Anurag is installing on one server.
Exactly.
We don't know what is that server, but Anurag downloaded generic VMware ESXi. How do we know which is compatible or not?
So
And
okay, good question. The general ISO can be used on any server hardware. It can be used, but basically the compatibility we are talking about, the version compatibility. So let's say your server hardware only supports 6.7 ES6i. Then you cannot install 7.0 or 8.0 ES6i on that hardware. Does it answer your question?
cannot install 7.0 or 8.0.
Exactly.
Okay.
If your server hardware only support up to 6.7.
Oh, got it. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yep.
So if it is a old Dell 730G, that might be a very old hardware, right?
Yeah.
So it might only install, I know I have an experience of ESX 6 or 5. It's very old hardware that we cannot upgrade.
Yeah. There
So
is
in that way, so because the local hard disks are present, we installed ESXi, so we cannot migrate in that case, right? In such old hardware cases.
We do have options available. Migration and upgradation portion are also a big topic. We do have a separate module on that. Yeah, and one more thing, let me tell you, we do have a facility called physical to virtual. Physical to virtual mean like you do not have a virtualization environment in your organization and you have 3 server hardware and you want to move the workload to virtual machines. So it is also possible. Physical to virtual, P2V conversion is also possible. So this, yep, Anurag.
So let me mount this CD and then we'll reboot this server and we'll start that installation. Okay. So let me go to that directories. Is there in that desktop? So we have the 2 files here. You can see that one ISO is a Windows 10 and it's a Red Hat 8.4, and we have this one vCenter server. VCSA, and we have this one, the TXXI 8. So I'm going to select this one, say that open, and I will just connected this one. So it's connected to here. I received that message also is connected here. See that? And it's a read only mode. So it's connected this one. So what I will do that I will close this windows is already, and now that I will, the server is powered down right now. Let me power on this server. It's saying that, so it's started now. Now you can hear the sound also.
Yeah, there is a beeping.
Anurag, you have to send me the music. Which music you were playing in the start when we joined the session?
Yeah, that is that different.
Yeah, I love that. The music which you played in the starting of the session.
Actually, in every webinar that I'm using the same.
Yeah, so I need to have that music in my playlist. So I hope you guys are enjoying the session. And we are trying to
Entirely new, right? We're learning new
yeah.
concepts.
Yeah. Anurag is good with answering the question, and I'm sorry, guys, I'm very lazy to answer your questions. But I'm trying to answer you. I'm getting too much questions here in the chat box.
So I just pressed that 11 and F11 key, and I'm just using that. We have already mounted in the virtual CD-ROM. So I just selected this virtual CD-ROM because that our EXXI 8 is mounted on virtual CD-ROM. I just selected, highlighted this one, and just pressing enter. It's giving that options to check that boot from the local disk, or you want to install that one. So I selected that standard installation EXXI.
So this is the installation, the initial installation. Okay. We have a question. What is the full form of ES6 or ESXi? So the funny thing is, Mr. Rajkumar, I also forgot that. Can someone unmute? I think Abira, you know that the ES6i stand for. It's what's that?
Elastic Sky integrated.
Elastic Sky integrated. So who answered the question?
This is Satya.
Yeah, I wish you were here so I would send you some juices or something, but you are very far, so I'm sorry for that. But
It's
I
okay.
can ask Anurag.
I'm very far to Anurag also.
Where are you from?
USA.
Okay.
You can arrange the ticket for me. I will give you that dress.
No, Anurag, then I will go. You are too busy, so I'm available. I can visit him. Yep, Elastic Sky X integrated. So I got the answer, and let me post it to the everyone. Okay. So guys, keep asking questions. I'm very lazy to answer your question on the chat box. So you have time now. You can utilize during the loading time.
So are you going to cover the APIs part? Let's say, for example,
Actually,
I have a Oracle running on a VM, and there is a iSCSI or files fiber FC connectivity to the ESX server, and the volume presented to the ESX server and attached to the VM. Is there a way we can take a snap of the
you are mute, I think. I don't know why. We didn't make you mute, but maybe it's from your side.
somebody muted me. Maybe Anurag.
Anurag, did you muted him?
Yes, sir. We also mute.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, go
because
ahead.
there is noise coming. I think it got he need to mute
Okay.
everyone. So my question is, are you going to cover those parts? Because in ESX VMware environment with thousands of VM, that is a really important part for to take care in case of disaster occurs.
Yeah, I think, Satya, that you require to connect any Oracle trainer for that, cover that part.
No, I'm just giving an example of Oracle. It might be a n number of applications. Okay.
Got it.
Talking
Makes
about the
sense.
snapshot, right?
Yeah, but how do I take if I don't know?
Okay. So, let me explain. Basically, this training is a 40 hours training, right? And which has total 10 modules, but I cover 11 modules because I also cover the vSphere distributed switch portion as well. So we do have a module called module number 7, virtual machine management. So in virtual machine management, we do have a snapshot topic, and we do have a backup thing and replication topic. So yes, all these options we are going to cover regarding to this. I will share the course outline. Let me see if I can share it in the chat box with you. What's your name?
Satya?
Okay. I am going to, I just share the course outline in the chat box, and you can visit, go through the course outline and you will find your answer there. So yes, when you, I'm going to start a proper session next week. Actually, this is just a demo of my upcoming training.
Sir, what
Where we will
about
start
cloud?
from the you are talking about cloud?
Cloud training.
Okay. It's in my pipeline, but it's maybe end of November or maybe mid of December. So currently my new batch of this course, the VMware vSphere install, configure, manage course, I'm going to start it from 19th November. Same time. It will be on 2 days class every week.
What is the
Or
time?
it would be 9 p.m. Indian time and 8:30 p.m. the same time of this webinar.
Oh,
2
okay.
hours. Yep. It
What
would be
days?
only Saturday and Sunday.
That's good.
Yep. And it would be like
These classes
11.
won't interfere with Anurag sessions.
Yep.
Then.
Yep. Exactly. So we have planned like that. Like once Anurag, I think Anurag, your session ends with which time?
Which session, Kasif?
Your sessions of the Oracle sessions.
It's a multiple session. It's a cloud session. It's a cluster session. Which one? Saturday, Sunday you are talking about?
Saturday, Sunday, Anurag, he's asking about.
Saturday, Sunday we have 2 sessions, 7 to 9 and 9 to 11. IST time.
Okay.
And on weekdays we have the cloud session, and that is 10:30 to 11:30 IST time.
Okay, so we can plan something regarding that. I receive a message from someone on my WhatsApp that they are not able to see the screen. So are you guys able to see the screen?
I need to join.
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Yep, so you can see here, Anurag, you can stop
Sir,
here for a while and then guys, you can see here, sorry to interrupt you. Let me explain this one and then you can ask questions. So welcome to the VMware ESXi 8.0 installation. And they also mentioned the link, the compatibility guide. So before installing hypervisor on your hardware, you need to check your hardware compatibility as well. So we already checked our hardware compatibility. Our hardware are good to run the ESXi 8.0. So Anurag, just you can click next.
sir, hello.
Yep.
Sir, you said that if an organization, if we have an organization and there are different machines, then which hypervisor we will install?
So ESXi hypervisor. Okay, I think I'm not getting your question, but if your question is something like
Sir,
Anurag, you can click. Yep.
My question is, if we have an organization and we have different machine, matlab Dell's, HP, Lenovo, and we have to install which hypervisor will be more comfortable, or we have to install matlab Dell hypervisor on Dell and
Okay,
Lenovo hypervisor.
I got your question. So basically, on Dell, so you will be installing ESXi 8, obviously, but your question
Yes.
is if for Dell hardware, you need to download the Dell version of the ESXi, Dell customized ISO, HPE customized ISO, but this is not a good practice that you have different vendors hardware, because we have when we are uh, consulting a customer or we are giving a solution, we suggest them to keep the same vendor hardware and keep the same CPU hardwares. So this is also another story. So before in moving to virtualization technology, there are some requirements, right?
Yes.
There are some
Yes.
documentation you need to read, and we will unfortunately we cannot talk about those right now, but the best practice is to keep all the hardware models same, right? Anurag,
But
you can
sir,
move forward. Anurag, yes, you can talk and Anurag can move forward.
but in virtualization we work from home, matlab remote work. But
Mm-hmm.
everyone has an own personal machine.
Mm-hmm.
If I use Dell, another guy use Mac, another guy use, no, it will be a little bit hard to convey all these people that you have to use same vendor machine.
Okay, Anurag, I think your screen is not visible, and I'm answering you. Anurag, you can go back and can you reshare your screen, please, Anurag?
Not visible.
You are visible to me. You are visible to me, but I don't know. Some
Right
of
now,
the
yeah, I'm able to see.
No, we are able to see the
Yeah,
screen. We are able to see
Yeah,
the VMF cannot be preserved. That's what we are seeing.
Assalamualaikum,
okay. Yep.
Kashif.
Walaikum assalam.
Can you hear me
thanks, Anurag.
clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Sir, hello,
Okay.
sir.
I have a few questions regarding the VMware. Can I ask?
Yep, you can ask. Give me, guys, give me just 5 minutes. When the installation portion is started, then we can talk about. Anurag, you can stop here. Let me explain something. Basically, can you go back? F9, can you click F9? Press F9. Okay, can you go back again? F9. Perfect. Okay, guys, you can see here in our server hardware, we have two storage available. One is 1.82 TB and the other one is also. So in production environment, or maybe if you have a server hardware and you want to install ESXi hypervisor, you can also attach 128 GB SSD and you can use that SSD for ESXi installation, and then you can use the remaining storage for virtual machine data. And do you have any idea about diskless server hardware? Which means that your server hardware doesn't have the storage locally attached. So you just need a local storage to install the hypervisor on top of that. And you can use your shared storage like iSCSI, Fiber Channel SAN, NAS to store the virtual machine data. We will talk about those as well. Anurag, can you open a browser tab? And can you write VMware ESXi minimum VMware ESXi 8.0 minimum installation requirement, so that people have an idea that if they want to install ESXi hypervisor, the minimum storage you need 32 GB of disk, you need minimum 8 GB of RAM, right? And you need a 2 cores of CPU. This is the minimum requirement just for practice purpose in this one. In production environment, you will have a big, having more RAM. So if you can paste this link in the chat box so that they can read after the session, that would be good. Thank you. Now
And
you can move to.
we required to move the other sessions, so might be we required to drop some message there in that group.
Yep, I'm going to ask them. Okay, Anurag. Yep. So any question regarding this one? Actually, guys, we are using the first disk for ESXi installation, and the second one would be for storing the virtual machine, and we can also use that. So can you click next, Anurag? Continue. Perfect. You can select your, okay. By default, there will be a default username called root, which is administrative user. You can also create other users, and we are going to set a password. So you will be required this password when you are accessing the host, right, to create virtual machine and all these stuff. So click continue, please. Okay, the CPU and this host are not supported by ESXi 8.0. You can override and force install, but it is not officially supported. Yep. Click continue. So, and you can forcefully install it. F11, the whole disk will be formatted. Let me share my screen if Anurag allow me during the session. Anurag, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So what we have done so far, guys, we have a hardware, this one, right? And this hardware is attached to the network. So if you are trying to install the hypervisor in production environment, so the first requirement is you need to have a 1 Gbps of network card, minimum 1, in which need to be connected during the installation. You need to have a minimum of 8 GB RAM. So in our hardware, how much RAM do we have, Anurag?
It's 320 GB and 160 GB.
Okay, so 360 GB RAM we have.
320 GB.
Okay, 320 GB RAM we have in our server hardware. We have 2 sockets of CPU, right? Having, I think 48 cores.
Yeah, 48.
Okay, so what happened actually? We just installed the ES6i hypervisor here. ES6i 8 hypervisor here. And we have how many disks? Disk 1 and disk number 2. So we just install ESXi hypervisor on disk number 1. So what happened? Disk 1 will be formatted in VMFS file system. Just like when you install Windows 10 on your laptop, your hardware will be formatted in NTFS file system. So when you install ESXi hypervisor on your disk, it will format your disk on VMFS file system. Right? Yep, Anurag, you can share your screen now. That's what I wanted to.
Okay, guys.
Let me stop sharing. Thank you, Anurag.
So it's done now, and that is saying that remove the media and then press that reboot the server. So let me remove the media. We'll go here and we'll unmount this one, CD1. Disconnect. I disconnected this one and then pressing enter here.
Perfect. So finally, we have installed the ESXi hypervisor directly on the hardware. So again, let me share my screen again, actually, because I'm a Paint guy. I love to explain things on the Paint. So when you install ESXi, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So when you install ESXi hypervisor on hardware, the first thing we need to do to assign IP address and configure the basic configuration. First step. What are the first step? Assign IP address, host name, DNS IP, right? Gateway, IP version 6, so all these things. So these are the basic configuration, right? Exactly. So these are the basic configuration we need to assign. So the initial configuration can be done using DCUI, which is called Direct Console User Interface, right? So we can assign IP address, and once we assign the IP address, we can then access the hardware using a browser, right? So Anurag, you can share your screen now. I'm sorry.
So
Yep. And since this is not a proper training, so we will skip some explanations. So we are sorry for that, but I do have some previous lectures available on my YouTube channel. You can go through those channels as well. And we are also starting a proper training, inshallah, next week. So if you are interested, so you can reach out to us and we can guide you how the registration process is and what are the methods of joining our class.
What is the price?
We will share those details in the email with you guys. So we have different options available. The reason we are not telling you right now, because we have two options available. One is called only training and the other option is training plus certification. And we do have a third option also available, training plus lab access, right? So if you also need a lab access as well, so it depends. So which option you need, then we can share those details with you. And we will share all those details with you on the email addresses. We already have your email addresses. So as we can see, an IP address is assigned by a DHCP. Yep.
but here that we have, we require to put that static IP addresses we have already assigned to this one is 1.8. So what I will do that, I will go here and I will change the IP addresses.
Perfect. Yep. So we have a DNS server, right? Anurag already created records over there. Thank you, Anurag. And he is going to assign that IP address, 1.8 IP address. So no, you can cancel this one and you can go to IPv4 configuration. So guys, if you the reason we are doing it very fast because we have other lab as well. So we want to show you another lab as well. So which is why we are moving so fast. Mozam, yes, you can ask question. I'm sorry, guys. We have too many questions here in the chat box. Anurag is okay. He is answering all the questions in the chat box, but I'm very
Don't worry, Kasi, we'll answer
yeah.
it on mail also.
Okay.
So I put it the two DNS server. First one is that pointing to our DNS server, and second one is to accessing, that is pointing to our Cisco switches to accessing the internet. So that's why I put it two things here. And that the whatever that you have, that domain name, you can put it here.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. We start the network. So it is starting the host. So it's a bare metal, so it's going to start with that.
Okay. So finally, one of our server is ready. We and I think that would be the first ever time you would see someone installing the ES6i on the physical hardware directly during the live session. Because usually when I deliver the trainings, I use the nested virtualization method. What is that? You can watch my other YouTube lectures, and there I mentioned that how you can prepare your lab. But credit goes to Anurag that he was able uh, to show you the real server installation, like how you can install it. And so you guys are able to know that how, even if you are going to install hypervisor. So okay, Satya, thank you. Thank you. Mehrab Karimi raised hand. So Mehrabuddin, you can unmute yourself and you can ask question directly.
Hi, sir. It's okay. No questions. I'm really interested to learn more, and thank you very much for great sessions. I really learn a lot of things here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your feedbacks. So I was showing some hearts coming towards us. So was it for me or was it for Anurag?
For both of you, sir.
That's okay. Thank you. But I never got hurts from my previous session, so I can see that these are must be for Anurag because Anurag is with us. So
Actually, are you listening to me?
yes, I'm able to.
Actually, I've tried to ask few questions on a chat on.
Sorry for that.
I think
Yep.
I probably seen that it's not hearable from my end. So I think so. You can hear me now. I have
Yes.
a few questions because I'm using the virtualization, not VMware, but using Microsoft virtualization from around more than 8 years now. And that's starting from Windows Server 2012 R2, then 2016, and now I'm currently running Windows Server 2019 in a production environment as well as in a TR environment of it's over a failover cluster. Okay. So both of sides are on Windows 2019 failover cluster, and now so I need to understand that what are the SKUs of VMware 8 are available, and because this is something which I know first, and what are these SKUs have a limitations.
Okay. So VMware, if you are, if you want to install the ES6i hypervisor on your hardware, you can actually download the free version of ES6i as well. right? You can visit them and you visit their site and you can download a free version of ESXi as well. And the other thing, I mean, if you want to use some of the features like in Hyper-V, you are using live migration, I believe, right?
Yeah.
So here we use vMotion. In Hyper-V, you use checkpoints. So we call it snapshots. In Hyper-V, you use storage migration and we call it storage vMotion here. So we have a product called vCenter server, right? So once you deploy the vCenter server, you can manage multiple ESXi hosts. And regarding the SKU you are talking about, are you talking about licensing stuff?
Yeah,
If I'm
yeah,
not wrong?
I'm talking about.
Okay. Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. I got you now. Basically, the license story is big. So if I start talking about licensing, I can almost talk 4 to 5 hours explaining the licensing
But
things.
actually, I wanted to know what are the SKUs available. Like, is there
Okay,
essential version
vSphere.
or a
Okay,
deluxe version?
vSphere Essential Kit is the first one, which does vSphere Essential Plus Kit, vSphere Standard Acceleration Plus Kit, vSphere Enterprise Plus is the last version, is the higher level of vSphere license, and it's very expensive license. Okay. Yep.
So if someone have a and another thing is that if what are the license related to the if someone is running VMware on a production environment and at the same they have a DR environment which is not actually hot or warm, it's a cold DR environment. In that case, they have and both are running different servers. Like for example, 5 servers from the production side, and similarly 5 server from the DR side. So it's what are the license requirement? For example, he had to buy 10 licenses, or
No,
he has
okay.
to buy 5
Got it.
licenses because.
Okay, okay. So basically the VMware license is based on per socket. Are you
And
getting
that,
my point?
yeah, I
So if you,
understand.
okay, so if you have a server hardware having 2 processors and you can purchase only 2 licenses and you can run as much as virtual machine you can. But the reason I'm not talking about licensing now, because VMware is changing their licensing model very soon. So they are moving from perpetual license to subscription-based license in the upcoming months, or maybe days, you can say. So whatever I say right now, maybe after 1 month, it's not of your use. So after, I mean, they are moving their license from perpetual to subscription-based model.
Here we're done with that installation. So this one is our EX6i8 and it's running on 320 GB memory, and that we have the 2 socket server here. And now that we are going to deploy that vCenter, so we have another EX6i7 is there on our environment. That is a different server, and it's also physical machine, and it's a gold processor, and it's a 160 GB RAM, and it's a 64 this one threads.
Okay, Anurag, can you give me 1 minute, please? Okay. So before moving to our next portion of this session, how long you guys can stay with us? This is a very important question. I know tomorrow is Sunday, but still I need to confirm if you guys are okay.
Tomorrow is World Cup final, sir. We have to.
Yeah, so tomorrow is the World Cup, which is why we chose this day.
Sir, continue till 2 p.m.
Okay, so I think 15 minutes we have. Anurag, if you guys can give us 30 minutes, is it possible for you guys?
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so
No
before,
problem.
okay, thank you. Before the vCenter server portion, Anurag, I think, can we explain the virtual machine portion?
Yeah. Let me stop it.
Yep. So let me share my screen. So as you guys know that Anurag installed the ESXi hypervisor. right? I hope you guys are showing my screen right now.
Yes, yes.
Right? So once you install the ESXi hypervisor, you can use browser and you can access it using HTTPS 443 port number, and you can access your ESXi host like this. So this is the interface of the vSphere 8 ESXi 8 version, right? You can see here version 8. So what is the purpose of installing the hypervisor? So that we can create virtual machines, right? And then on those virtual machines, we are going to install operating system, just like you install operating system on your physical machine. And then we install the application like this, your SQL server, domain controller, file server, and all these stuffs. So let's switch to my slides and then we can take it from there. What is virtual machine? So basically a virtual machine is a compute resource that uses software instead of a physical computer to run programs and deploy apps. So normally without virtualization, without VMs, you need to install operating system on the physical machine like hardware, and then you run application. But here you can can you mute? Can you mute all the participant? Let me mute. Perfect. I think I was able to. So benefits of using virtual machine. I mean, you can see. Can you mute them, Anurag, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you can see here,
So once I selected that, Kasi, we are also muted.
yeah, I noticed that. So you can see here, I have around 27 virtual machine on one of my ESXi host. These are my physical server. And you can see I have a Windows 10 machine. I have another Windows 10 machine. I have a domain controller. These are the virtual machine. So if I need to add more disk, I can simply click and I can edit it, right? And I can add more hard disk. I can attach another network adapter. So these are one of the benefits of the virtualization technology, the virtual machines. We can run multiple operating system on a single hardware. We can easily manage the virtual machine. You can move the virtual machine easily. So these are some of the benefits of the virtual machine. So I got a question for you guys. So virtual machines can run without the hardware of a host machine. There is, I think we missed something. So is it true or is it false?
False.
False. Yep.
False.
Yep. You are right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
How are you, sir? My
Doing
name
good.
is Muhammad Qasim. Maybe you know me. You are my teacher. And first of all, I'm really thankful for the session. I really
Thank you.
appreciate your work. And I have a question. As you discussed about when we deploy virtualization technology in our organization, and you discuss here virtual machine benefits. But if you see, virtual machines are less efficient, because if you see, the virtual machine access hardware indirectly. So could you please explain a little bit about it?
Okay, so you are talking about performance, like
yes,
you are
performance. Like
okay.
virtual machine are less efficient than a real machine because they access hardware indirectly, and running VM software on the top of host operating system means that it will have to request to access storage and memory from the physical device.
Okay, I got your question. Your question is that we are adding another layer between our operating
Yeah.
system and the hardware. So basically,
Yeah.
my research was also based on the performance, right? And when you can compare it actually. Basically, virtual machines are more effective than the physical machines. Like obviously, you can move the virtual machine from one hardware. Virtual machine has its own hardware actually. If you see here, every virtual machine has its own CPU, memory, disk, right? And
yes,
when you open, this is a deep discussion, but I will try to explain it. What I can suggest you right now, you can write para virtualization, right? So I would say if you get some time.
yes, I will like Sergey, as I told you, I really want to do virtualization. I want to learn it. I want to go for the certification as well. But I just got a question in my mind right now.
Yep,
So that's
it
why
is
I asked.
this is a very a valid question actually. I appreciate your questions, but unfortunately it would be difficult for me to answer that question
Yes,
because this is
yes, I
something
know
related.
because it's the live
Yep,
session and it will take some time.
No, it is related to the architecture of the ESXi hypervisor actually. So, we have Hyper-V, we have Citrix, and we have ESXi. So we have different types of virtualization like para virtualization and hardware virtualization. These are the different categories. So if you get to know the difference between those categories, then you will automatically get your answer. But hopefully I will send you an email with the different between that, and I will see if I can answer you some other time.
Sergey, from the last 3-4 months, if you know, I'm waiting to get enrolled and to get certification and virtualization, as I told you, to start a new session. But I'm happy to be here in this
Yep.
session.
Thank you. Okay, guys. So we have another lab now. Anurag will go through the lab, but let me explain something. We have, if you want to, I think you can, okay. If you can mute him, Anurag, so then I can explain. Can you please mute yourself? Mozam, I'm coming to you, but if you guys can mute yourselves and I can explain this slide, please.
Can mute the.
Yeah, mute all and unmute me. Okay, so we have another lab now, right now. Our ESXi host is ready and we are going to create virtual machine and then we are going to install operating system. So basically we have different methods of deploying virtual machines. One method is to create a virtual machine from the scratch and then attach the ISO file and then install the operating system and then install application. Another method is to deploy OVF or an OVA file, virtual appliance. You guys can search about virtual appliance. Virtual appliance are basically the virtual appliance. These are the ready-made virtual machines, right? Ready-made virtual machine. It already has operating system installed. It already has an application installed. So you can deploy virtual appliances as well, right? So Anurag, you can share your screen and you can go through the creation of virtual machine real quick. We are not going to explain anything, guys, because we want to. Yep.
Create this one, or we require to install vCenter?
No, first, if you can just create a virtual machine directly on the host, that would be easy for the participants.
Okay, let me give you control.
No, you can go. You can. Yep, you are the man today. So go ahead and
So here I will try to
you can
create
see
VMs
exactly.
over file.
Okay, you can use the create a new virtual machine window. From here, you can give it a name, for example, Windows Server 2022 or whatever you give, you can. Yep. And we are not going to explain each and every option right now, but hopefully in my other videos, you will find the explanation of these. Right from here, you can select which OS you want to install. You can click next and you can select the data store. Then you can select the CPU, memory, and you can, we have, I mean, in separate Blake T. Yep.
We require to put this one, right?
Yep. So do you have any ISO attached? The
Yes.
reason we are not explaining these things because these are the demos. So unfortunately, we would not be able to explain each and every options. So why are we moving so fast? Because we have another important topic left, which is vCenter server.
So this one we have newly created. That's why that no image is here. So we require to copy it.
Yep. So this is the one method that you need to create a virtual machine from the scratch, then upload the ISO images, install the guest operating system on the virtual machines, access the virtual machines, and run your application just like you are running in the physical machine, on the physical machine. We have another method that is called deploying an OVA template or OVA template form. I mean, a ready-made virtual machine, you can deploy it. The third method you can do it, let's suppose you have a physical machine and you want to convert that physical machine into virtual machine. That is something also possible. And if you are a network guy and if you are a security expert, so you might know about Fortinet or FortiGate firewall, right? So if you want to deploy a Fortinet firewall in your environment, you can purchase a box or you can download virtual appliance and you can deploy that virtual appliance as a virtual machine on your ESXi hypervisor, right? So this is also the benefit of virtualization technology. It also support the virtual appliances as well, right? That's the story.
Copy
So
it. Let me create that another data store. We can install here also, but let me cancel it. Or we can open the another session and create the another data store. Let me cancel it.
Yep, you can cancel it. And you can go to storage, new data store. Basically, during the installation, you notice that we had two disks attached, but only one disk was formatted, and now we are going to add the other one. So you need to add that. So during my proper training, I will explain it in detail. Unfortunately, we are not able to explain each and everything here in the session, but we are trying to. But we also respect your time, so which is why we want to speed up the 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 demo. Perfect. Yep. So the virtual machine is created in the, you can see here. You can power on the virtual machine. Okay, Anurag, if you can power off the virtual machine and if you can change the BIOS option from UEFI to BIOS, that would then work.
Okay.
Yeah. So do not ask us like what are we doing right now, but just consider that we just want to show you how you can install, how you can create a virtual machine and how many VMs we can create in one ESXi host. I have a question from Hariom. So basically it depends the resources you have, how many resources you have in your hardware, right? And it also depend on your workload as well. So I have seen some customers, they have like one ESXi host with only one virtual machine. So, and I have seen some environments where they have installed more than 40 virtual machine on a single ESXi host. So it depends, right? I think you need to attach the ISO file again. Anurag, can you power off this VM, please? Okay. And can you go to edit setting of that VM? Can you go to VM options? Up, scroll up. Yep, VM options. If you can go to advanced tab, expand the advanced option. Sorry, boot options. Can you expand boot option? Can you change it to BIOS? Okay, go back to the other option again. No worries, you can ignore this. Okay. Can you go to virtual hardware option on the left side and attach the ISO file again, connect. And you can you can expand the CD or DVD option on the left side. Okay, perfect. It's okay now. Save and just power on the VM and it should work. So, sorry guys, let me share my screen, Anurag. No problem.
Okay.
We can save the time this way. As we can see, I have another hardware with me right now. So I'm going to create a virtual machine on this hardware. I already uploaded the this is one of my ESXi hosts. I can go to virtual machine. I can create a virtual machine like this, just like Anurag showed you. And I can select Windows 10, and I can select the local data store for now. I am going to select this one. What are these options? We are not going to explain it right now. Because it will take a lot of time. So we have this virtual machine available right now. Let me power off this VM and let me power on this virtual machine now. So as you can see, we have this virtual machine and we have started a Windows 10 installation. This is the one method. We can deploy the virtual appliance like if you have a virtual appliance already available. So as you can see, we have can select this one, and I have this Fortinet firewall ISO available. So I'm going to deploy a firewall. So this way you can select OVF file and you can give it a name, Fortinet firewall, and you can deploy it this way as well. So this is also possible that you can do that, right? And you can deploy your OVF firewall. So what we have learned, we learned that how we can install operating system. This is same like you are installing on the physical machine. Okay, now the last portion, just give us only 15 minutes, please. And we are going to cover vCenter server. So as you notice that we were only playing with one host. So for example, you have a big environment and you are going to manage them. For example, you have in our environment, we have now only one. So let's suppose in your organization, you have more than one ESXi host. So obviously you are going to manage them remotely. Like, let me just show you practically. In my environment, I have one host, which is 157. I have another host, which is 158. This is my other ESXi host. I have another hardware, which is 159, right? I think 159. Okay, it's also working. So if I need to create a virtual machine in this host, I will have to log in this host individually. Then I will log into this host individually. So what we can use something called vCenter server. So it's a centralized management piece to manage your multiple ESXi hosts. So you can manage multiple ESXi hosts from a single vCenter server. So I just logged into my vCenter server and you can see this is my vCenter server. And I'm showing 1, 2, 3, and 4 ESXi hosts, right? So if I need to create virtual machine on this host, which is also which I already access here, I can just use my vCenter server and I can create virtual machine through vCenter server. So with vCenter server, we get something called vMotion feature. What is vMotion feature? So you can move this powered on VM from one hardware to another hardware. This is called vMotion feature, right? So you can do that. We get high availability feature, we get FT feature. These are the features which we can get. So Anurag, I'm sorry. Basically, we were planning to deploy the vCenter portion in this session, but unfortunately, what I'm seeing, it's not possible during this session. So we are sorry for that we would not be able to show you how we are going to deploy vCenter server, but at least we can explain the concept of vCenter server, that vCenter server is a centralized management software, and you can see multiple ESXi hosts. We can manage them by a single vCenter server. So if you have a question for me that how many ESXi hosts you can manage from a single vCenter server. So first of all, it depends on the size of vCenter server. So we have vCenter server tiny. So let me Google it so then I can show you. vCenter server tiny, small, medium. So when you click that, you would see, so with tiny you can maximum you can manage 10 ESXi hosts with 100 virtual machines. Small vCenter can manage up to 100 ESXi host and 10,000 virtual machine actually. Medium vCenter server can manage up to 400 and it can manage 4,000 virtual machine. And when you open this link, you will get to know that large can manage up to 1,000 hosts, extra large can manage 2,000 hosts. This is the one story. What is the other condition? The license. So if you have a vSphere Essential kit or vSphere Essential Plus kit, you can only manage maximum 3 ESXi hosts, even if your vCenter size is small, because of your license. So it also matters. If you have a vCenter Foundation license, so you can only manage 4 ESXi hosts. So if you are in production environment and you are not able to add more than 4 ESXi hosts to your vCenter server, so do not blame me. That's because of your license, because your license doesn't have that capability. So the higher version of vCenter license is vCenter server standard, which can manage maximum ESXi hosts based on your vCenter server deployment size. This is the story. So I have a question for you guys. Based on what we discussed right now, a vSphere administrator is performing a greenfield vSphere deployment. With these deployments, vCenter server sized for 100 ESXi hosts and 1000 virtual machine. If let's suppose you are a vSphere administrator and you are deploying vCenter server. So which size you would select for this requirement? 100
Small,
ESXi host and
small,
10,000. So
small.
small. Awesome. Who was that? Who gave me the answer?
Jabamani. Jabamani.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. So the answer is small. Yep. So I think, guys, this was not included in our agenda, but let me just show you what you guys can do. You can also visit VMware HOL, right? You can create a free account and you can learn about this virtualization technology. And I have already posted some of the lectures on my YouTube channel. So you can find my YouTube channel here, Kashif Buneri IT Trainer. Once you open my lectures, you can go to playlist and you can, if you are from Pakistan or in India, you can watch this playlist. And these lectures are basically in the English language, so you can also go there, and there I explain some of the things in details during the sessions. And if you want to learn more about this technology, and if you want to start your career in virtualization technology, so we are here for you. And from next Saturday, we are going to start a proper training of this VMware vSphere official course. So we will be covering the official course content of VMware with the live labs and all these stuff. So you will get the practical, the physical, real environment examples as well. So I think I'm done from my side. Now, Anurag, it's up to you. The reason I skipped the vCenter server deployment size because it is going to be a time consuming thing. So
yeah, it's already too late, Kasif, so might we will plan some other session.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. And we are sorry that we we couldn't manage to finish all the topics in this whole session because of answering your question and because of some explanation. So I hope you learned something new today, and thank you for staying with us that much. And inshallah, we can touch base some other time as well. So Anurag, I'm going to stop my screen. So stop sharing my screen, and if you have something to, and if you guys have something, we can stay for you for 5 minutes or whatever feasible for you. Let me go to the chat box. Okay, Prasad, you gave me the wrong answer. Okay, what is the difference between vSphere, ES6i, and vCenter server? That's a very good question. Let me share my screen again. So I have a question from Mr. Mozam that what is the difference between vSphere, ES6i, and vCenter server? So vSphere is a suite, right? Which uh, which includes ES6i hypervisor and vCenter server. Just like MS Office is a suite, and MS Word, MS Excel, MS PowerPoint, these are the software which these are the components. So these two combine. When we combine these two, we call it vSphere. And I think you know ESXi. It is the hypervisor, and vCenter server is the management tool. So Mozam, I think that this answer your question.
How do you combine the both? Is it package? Is it like a package or something else?
So basically, you can see here.
Yeah.
This window. This is a vCenter server window, and you can see I have ESXi host here. So we call it a vSphere environment.
You mean the vSend? You mean the
So
vSender login in the home screen or something else?
yeah,
This
this
is
is
the
the
vScreen
So
home page.
okay, you can
Yeah.
okay. The best example is Microsoft Office. So are you using MS Office?
Yes, yes.
So when someone
That
asks
is
you, you
comes
do
as a
not
package.
exactly. So this is a complete package. Like if you want to use MS Office, you have to install Excel, PowerPoint, MS Word. So the whole
So
thing
this
is called
package,
MS
so this
Office. Yep.
package contain one vCenter and one
No, no,
EXI
no.
host.
No, the
Okay.
basically the combination of ESXi and vCenter server is called vSphere. So it's a suite. So vSphere is the product name, right? It is a product name which consists of ESXi hypervisor and vCenter server.
Okay.
Mr. Didar Ali Khan, you are not audible. Any document will be provided your side? Yes, definitely. We will share some helping materials in your email addresses if you are registered. So expect an email from us before coming Saturday. Okay. So your voice is too low, Mr. Didar. I can hear you, but your voice is too low. Yep, it's I mean, I need to. We are not able to. If you can write your question, please, that would be good. Because we are not able to hear you clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Sorry, hello?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but but your voice is too high now.
Actually, my question is something which I have to take time to do. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So my question is that if we going to the procurement side of the software, what should we say to the software, to the person of the who's selling it? Should take a we need a license of two vSphere, vSphere, or we should what should we say that VMware EXXi 8, vSphere 8, vCenter 8? What should we say that?
Okay, good question. So basically, obviously, if you are from India, so let's say you have a nearest VMware reseller or partner, you can contact them and their consultant will be connected with you and they will ask you how many server hardware do you have, right? And they will ask you about your workload and then they will give you licenses based on the number of processors you have in your server hardware. They can also explain vSphere Plus. This is another story. So again, the reason we excluded the licensing portion from this session, because there are some changes expected to be happening in the next month, or there already some changes, some of the licensing model. So whenever you connect with them, you do not have to worry about that. As in vSphere administrator or as a system administrator, you are not required to have a knowledge of VMware licensing. They will guide you. The pre-sale engineer will guide you. The consultant will guide you that you need a license based on your number of sockets. So they will, you need to purchase vCenter server license separately, and you need to purchase ESXi host licensing separately. So we do have some kits also available, right? So, and I will make a note of that, and we will also share the documentation of licensing as well, that you can have an idea that how you are going to do that. But for 60 days, you can use a free trial version and you can utilize the free licenses as well.
Okay. Can we monitor the IOPS? Because normally we can monitor the CPU and the RAM, but if somebody is wanted to monitor the storage utilization in terms of IOPS, how we
Yep.
manage it? How we view it?
Awesome, good question. So basically, we do have tools available. The one of my favorite tool is vRealize operation tool. vRealize operation tool, which you can deploy in your vSphere environment. You can connect that tool with your vCenter server, and it will give you reports, and you can monitor your whole vSphere environment. You can also use something called live optics, and you can check your IOPS, and based on that, you can upgrade your storage, or you can increase or enhance the storage need. So we do have tools available over there. And vCenter server has also a tools available. Like, for example, this is one of my powered on VM, and you can go to monitor tab, you can go to performance tab, and from there you can scroll down and you can check the storage, right? And you can export the storage details. This is my dummy lab, so you will not see any information here, but you can see this is how you can pull the reports, and you can, so these reports are not that much in detail, so you need something called vRealize Operations Manager. This is another tool. So we do have a lot of options available here. Are we good? Okay, Anurag, I think we can close the session. Okay, in the interview, many of panelists why you go with VMware. Okay, good. I have a very good question from Didar. I'm going to answer that. The question is, in interview, many of the panelists questions that being an infrastructure head, why you go with VMware? Why not you are using the Hyper-V and also? And you know, I was giving an interview and they asked me the same question. So the answer of that question is, VMware supports Linux-based virtual machine as well, like most of the virtual machines, like appliances. So VMware ESXi has that capability that they can support Fortinet firewall appliances and all these stuff. So this is one of the reason we will be going with VMware.
Hey, Kashif.
Yep, Mr. Yep.
This is Raja from New York. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thank you.
I'm glad to know that. I was going to ask you, are we going to have another session after this anytime soon?
Maybe we can plan something, but actually after from next week, we are going to start a proper class actually.
Okay, so for that, do we have to subscribe or something, or is it going to be like that?
It's if you can ping me on my email address, or you already, if
I think I do have your WhatsApp. I could reach out to you through the WhatsApp.
Exactly. You can reach out to me and I can guide you the process of that, and I can send you all the details.
Okay, I got you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mozam, you are right. Hyper-V also support Linux-based virtual machine, but most of the appliances which are not supported by Hyper-V. So security appliances. So that's one. I can stay like 1 hour here, but unfortunately we have to end this session right now. Maybe we can connect some other time. Thank you all for joining the session. Special thanks to Anurag for basically he was the head of the arrangement and all these, the timing and the registration process and the Zoom process and the lab process. So credit goes to him. And thank you. Anything, if you have anything, you can reach out to us through email or WhatsApp. Thank you, Mozam, for joining. So
Thank you.
myself and Anurag will be the last one to leave the session. So one by one, you can leave the session. Anurag, you can stop recording actually.
Yeah, let me stop the recording.
Oh, yeah.